the way we decided to do it on the cheap. We've pretty much gone full redneck with this, with a cardboard box and a laser off of a gun. So after spending considerable time playing around here a little bit and agonizing over the instructions being kind of contradictory, we think we found something here that we consider a good happy medium as a good starting point to see where we're going from. Because the instructions, like I said, says to mount the rack as high as possible on the cross member without hitting the oil pan. And then it says to install the bump steer kit with the spacers in between here, and that the steering arm or the tie rod here should be parallel with the line of the lower A-arm. Well, later on it shows the pictures of it all, but the only possible way to get that will be for this to be all the way at the bottom, as low as you can get it on the cross member, not as high as you can get it. And in their pictures, it looks like their lower A-arms are at almost exactly the same angle ours is at, which would make sense because we have 2-inch drop spindles, 2-inch drop springs, and that should be about where people are setting them up for a drag truck like they were doing in their pictures. So what we ended up doing is we want to retain this in order to protect the rack if he runs over something, since it is an actual street car, not a drag car. So we mounted it a little bit higher, took all these spacers out. Right now I'm just running a washer in here at the moment, and I made a temporary mount here that is actually just a piece of 1-inch square tubing tacked in place to hold this where we want it. And we've got it all centered up, and actually tilted it back slightly so that it would clear the bolt back here for the A-arm, so the bolt could still come in and out, and puts our steering shaft at a better angle so it's not heading straight into the motor mounts. And we're going to try it right there and see what we can make happen. And these are pretty parallel with this. So we now need to run through bump steer to see if we've got it even remotely close before we finalize anything. But before we can do that, you have to look at the actual suspension geometry and the settings where we have it set in that. So I do have it set up now where we have just a little bit of toe in. I use camber points here on the front and back of the rotor, since we don't have the wheels on it, to just make sure we have just a little bit of toe in here. And now we have to look at caster and camber on the front suspension. So in order to do this, we want to check the camber and caster. I got this old camber caster gauge here. This is a pretty old one, probably from the 60s, that my dad had. Yes, this vial's broken, but it still works fine as long as we do something like this and check it for level. So right now we have about 1 degree positive camber in it. We don't want positive camber. So we want to actually take that down to about a 1/2 degree negative camber. In order to do that, we need to shim the inside of these, the mounting points here, to push everything in to bring that whole thing in to reduce the negative camber. But at the same time, we need to think about caster at the same time. Now, in order to do caster, you want to like turn this, well, I forgot. Take this bolt out here. Turn this roughly 20 degrees. Make sure this is level. And we turn this till the bubble is right at 0. And then we want to turn it roughly 20 degrees the other direction. And we've got about 5 degrees positive caster in it. Now, we want about 4 degrees is what we're going to actually end up running. Stock, they would say 1 1.5 to 2.5 degrees. But since we got a manual steering rack, we're going to run 4 degrees after a little bit of looking around, and a lot of people are running up to 4 degrees to get more self-centering on the steering wheel with a manual rack. Now, positive caster means you got the upper ball joint is actually behind the lower ball joint. So we also have to think about that when we're playing with these shims here, to turn the A-arm one way or the other to change the caster at the same time we're changing camber. Now, I did order a big box of like 150 shims that was supposed to be here this morning, and shipping has been delayed on it, so we don't have them to work with right at the moment. And we got those from Amazon. It was like, under 20 bucks, whatever. I guess that's the price you pay for paying 20 bucks for it rather than 60 bucks is, it's Amazon. But we will put a link in the description, as always, to that box of shims. And hopefully later in the video, we'll have those shims and actually be messing with these. So our box of shims showed up here. I went ahead and took out all of the old shims. We're just gonna put all brand new shims in there. And I got all my shims set up here now to where we've got about between 1/4 and 1/2 degree negative camber on both sides at our expected ride height, with about 4 degrees caster both sides. Now that could end up changing ever so slightly because this is our expected ride height. Where we actually end up at might be just a hair off from that, and then we might have to adjust the shims again. But all this has to come apart eventually and be painted and then put back together. So all these new shims have the hole in it here, so we can wire them all together in packs, where these didn't have that. So we can have a shim pack wired together, put it up on the shelf when we take it apart. Once everything's painted and cleaned and we're going back together with it, we know that we have them, and we'll mark them for right side, front, rear, left side, front, rear, and we can just drop them back in, bolt everything together, and we should be really close. And then we can just finalize the adjustments at the actual ride height once it's sitting on the floor and all together. So the next step is, now that we've actually got this adjusted, at least in the ballpark of where we want it, now we can actually test the bump steer. Now, we have been playing with the bump steer a little bit. We're not getting the numbers that I would actually really like to see, but I think we got something that's going to be good enough for how the car is going to be used, because we are dealing with, everything we've done here is a compromise as far as the height and positioning of the steering rack, so that this protects it from getting hit on the road with anything, and the shaft actually makes it where we can use it without, and could we move it in a better position and maybe make it work with better numbers? Probably so. But one of the real problems with these kits is there is no off-the-shelf steering rack where this length is correct, which I think I might have said earlier. So it's all a compromise. So height really matters on this, and you're going to get bump steer pretty much no matter what, unless you have a shorter rack than what we have. So let's get looking at the bump steer. So there are multiple ways of trying to track and plot out your bump steer, from gauges that cost anywhere from $2 to, probably $1,000, whatever it is, and a bunch of different ways to set it up on the cheap. And this is one of the way we decided to do it on the cheap. We've pretty much gone full redneck with this, with a cardboard box and a laser off of a gun. Originally, we had this, which we were going to use, but this thing puts out a line, not a dot, which means you can't plot it properly on any kind of graph, because you're either getting a line all the way across, so you don't know the width, or you're getting a line up and down, you don't know the height. So we couldn't use that, and well, the owner here just happened to be out shooting one of his guns here in my backyard and said, we take that off, that'll work. And it does work because it's a dot. So we've got the box set 5 feet away from the center line of the spindle. That way, when I move to the other side, we can measure it exactly 5 feet and get the same things to check side to side. I've got this plotted out where we got a center line. This is our ride height, or our expected ride height, and we got it marked 1 inch up, 4 inches up, 4 inches down, and 1 inch increments, so we can plot it. And then we can turn the laser on, and then, oops, every time I turn this laser on, got to get this thing sitting right. All right, so we can adjust the box. Now I'm going to go ahead and push the thing all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and start it at the bottom. We'll shut this off and I'll get everything set up here real quick. Just start from the bottom and run through all the way to the top. So in our case, we got a bunch of bump steer on droop. So it's moving quite a bit here. We're way to the inside here. But that, I think, is acceptable as long as we're not getting a bunch on compression above ride height, which is the center line here. Because we're not drag racing this thing. We're not going to hang the tires. It won't be in droop hardly at all, ever driving this thing on the street. But when we go up, you can plot it. And it's moving in a bunch. And we've played around with a number of different places of putting the shims. And this is getting us just about as close as we can get with where things are set up. Yeah, see, it's a little off here. And now we're staying pretty much right on the line. Like I said, we could make this better, and we will probably play a little bit more with some shims to see if we can get it even better than this. But we're not, it toes out ever so slightly, just as it compresses a little bit and then stays in a straight line. We would like to see that come more straight and then stay up, which we can probably play with our shims here a little bit more and make it a little bit better, because we have been back and forth between 1 washer, 2 washers, and this shim, and we did have it slightly better than this at one point. And I can try another washer, see if it helps, and if it does help, then that's where we can plan on running it. Now, I am absolutely no expert on this, and don't take my word as the gospel. Look it up for yourself. But if we get a cross this way or a cross this way, but relatively straight, we can change the spacers. As we change the spacers, we can make that a lot straighter. But since you're getting a bit of an arc out of it like we're getting here, that's within the suspension design. And there's not a lot we can do about fixing that arc without changing something else in the suspension. So we're just working with what we've got, trying not to reinvent the wheel, just making it in this area where we're cruising, being as reasonable as we can get it. So now that we've got it probably as good as we're probably going to get it with all the compromises, now I can come in here, double check all my measurements, make sure nothing changed while we were cycling things, and then I can trim up this bracket, make it fit here really nicely, and get everything clamped in there nice and solid so that this side doesn't want to move, and we can double check this side, make sure it matches that side. And if it does match that side, then we can leave this bracket in if we want, put a little bit of bracing, weld everything out, and our steering rack is mounted.